The most affordable ways are desktop PCs, with the simple reason they're big, they're clunky, and also the parts are quite cheap to actually find. I've been tearing down all kinds of different PCs, and I come to the conclusion there's only a handful, let's say, PCs that can be really interesting when it comes to the CPU, but also the upgradability of the GPU. Because you would think, hey, let's grab ourselves like a really old PC and like get yourself like a really powerful GPU. But that is not going to be working. It's all about the balance of the CPU-GPU combination. And if one of these are going to be unbalanced, meaning that we're going to be having problems with overall gaming, but also when it comes to emulation. I have seen it before with having an older i7, having a powerful GPU, and you can see that its CPU is like throttling 100% usage, where the GPU has still a lot of juice left. If this also implements for emulation, that is a little bit of a debatable situation for myself. But still, you don't want that, because I've also noticed, let's say about the Socket 775, you have always a certain amount of PC Express lane speed on your main board. So if you have like a really old CPU and you're grabbing a brand new RTX card, it's highly possible it doesn't even utilize the full speed of the GPU. And if you're going to be doing upscaling, that would be absolutely unfortunate. So that's why I'm actually just tearing down all kinds of PCs to see what kind of parts do I actually own. I have a lot of Socket 775 mainboards. I love the Intel Socket 775 because you can use the mainboard for, let's say, a Pentium 4, but also a quad core. And you have all kinds of different very nice quality versions, but of course most of them were like for SLI, and SLI, that is something, yeah, we're not going to be using for the GPU or upscaling itself with some emulation. But I've been finding a lot of interesting parts, like this really old, very strange laptop technology based of a semi like micro ITX, this HP mainboard. And actually when doing the overall emulation performance, I noticed that we had some really great performance where the onboard GPU was not that great. So for upscaling, it was like fantastic, but we can still play a lot of cool stuff. If you just want to play some return fire with the Panasonic 3DO, and you can even do it a little bit of upscaling for, I think it was 640 by 480. And everything was looking really great. And yeah, but of course with upscaling, we don't have that option with many emulators so far, I understand. We do have like all kinds of filters that you can implement. And these devices are more than powerful enough. And if you think about it, I paid like $5 for this PC. The unfortunate part is we cannot upgrade with a GPU. But what is kind of funny, so we have this really old, very strange tiny mainboard, but do have the option to do a little bit of upscaling with Sega Dreamcast to 1080p. We could even play some Sega Saturn without any problem, and of course depending on the game you can always try to do a little bit of upscaling there. N64 was running pretty well, and also this on native resolution mainly. I tried to do a little bit of upscaling, but yeah, the performance was not that great. Thanks to the GPU of the Intel that was on board. But yeah, you know, when you're going to be looking into some of the things like in PlayStation 1, we have 720p upscaling. And if you're going to be moving to PlayStation 2, then we're going to be seeing a lot of, let's say, resistance from the GPU. So we needed to push it to the native resolution. However, you can see with such an, let's say, really cheap mainboard, if you're going to be putting this thing inside an arcade machine, hook it up with an encoder board, of course, and everything you're going to be needing, you can just play some really cool games out of the box with a really cheap mainboard and an onboard GPU. Well, let's get to the point. So I've picked up this older i7, and I think it was a 4th generation. Came with a GTX 1660 Super. I've paid $200. It's a little bit maybe too much, but the reason I paid for it was because of the mainboard. I needed an SLI mainboard, but that is not going to be necessary for this particular video. So the 4790K that's actually inside of this thing is okay. It's kind of prehistoric already, but we can still do some really cool things with it. So that was a quite nice clean build. Unfortunate, I was like missing some parts of the case, but doesn't spoil the fun for emulation. Come with a 700 watt of a power supply. That is one of the first things you need to check when getting into a desktop PC, what kind of power supply. This thing even had some liquid cooling going on. Not the biggest fan of this, but hey, it's in there. And all of the slots have been filled with RAM module, just value RAM, nothing fancy, but it will do more than enough for emulation. So, but this is like the Maximus Ranger mainboard. It is something you don't really need when you're going to be looking into emulation itself. If you have like a great ATX or M-ATX board for one GPU, it's just more than enough. There was only some brackets missing, maybe I can find them later on. But out of the box, this PC was powerful enough to run some modern games, but also when it comes to playing some old school games. And I can tell you that if you want to have like a dual boot configuration with Battlesera Windows or install all your emulators on Windows, you can make a really cool machine out of it and have the option to actually play also some higher end AAA games, and you can also play some emulation with some upscaling. But for booting up the software, that is of course another thing. We can use just Windows with separate emulators and a frontend like Lunchbox, Hyperspin or Retrobed, or we can use Batacera and going to be making a Linux-based kind of device that we can play all kinds of games with. Of course we have all kinds of plug-and-play solutions too, that we can just plug in a controller and you're ready to go. Or get yourself like an old hard drive and you can just install Batacera on there and configure everything as you wish. But in my case, we do have all kinds of different other solutions. We can just implement a 2.5 inch drive, install bottles here and there. You can use an USB stick or an SD card if your device even has a USB reader built in, like some of the mini PCs. And in this way we can just do it even almost for free. Yep, you can go to the Batacera page, we can actually download the image. You're going to be flashing it with Belina Archer or Win32, and in this way we can actually get yourself something going on when it comes to your simple x64 let's say desktop PC, or you just want to have like a mini PC. They have a crazy wide range support of different kind of systems, even handhelds if you want to, and in this way we can just actually install it on a certain storage device and we can just play and add all of your games. And that is kind of cool, and one of the many ways you can play Batacera, which you can also see on the page itself. But you can also not use Batacera at all and can just build yourself a Lunchbox image, going to be using just Windows itself, and you can just easily add yourself your Windows game, but also if you want to get into some emulation. But if you're going to be getting the hang of it when it comes to Lunchbox or all kinds of tutorials out there, they made your life so much easier if you want to add emulators. A lot of stuff has been automatically like configured, so that's just like a super easy way to just play your old school games through your Windows device. Yeah, and I think that is one of the other ways to go to, where I am a huge fan of Batacera. But if you still want to have all kinds of, let's say, Windows features, think about if you want to play Windows games and add them to your image. Yep, that is going to be one of the things you can do, is just use Windows. And in this case, we could just absolutely enjoy yourself emulation, but also Windows gaming. But with the game stick box thingies, we also had like these PlayStation 2 knockoff chemical controllers, and yeah, they were like sometimes okay. Yeah, playing a retro emulation, and at least you want to have a little bit of a retro vibe going on. These things were not really great. I must say some of them did, like this one has like the very nice analog controls, but in overall these things were pretty cheap and not really great. Well, throughout the years I've been checking out all kinds of different controllers. For example, this ByTop fighting pad. I'm a huge fan of fighting games, beat 'em ups, and this was absolutely a blast to the past, because this was like similar to those Street Fighter Mad Catz controllers that I ever checked out. You can just go to settings, configure this, and just have yourself a new controller attached to your emulator on Windows, or in this case Batacera. And yeah, the configuration of the 6-button layout was absolutely amazing, and have every single button you're going to be needing for actually playing some games. If it's like modern games like PlayStation 1, of course we don't have an analog stick, but this is like purely for fighting and some different games. But with all of the kind of different emulators we've tested out here on the channel, one of the things I always do is grab myself an Xbox 360 controller. By the way, if I'm going onto a flea market or I'm going to be on, let's say, a retro gaming convention, I can find one in pristine condition, an Xbox 360 controller, it's coming home, because this is like this is actually my #1 controller. And it's just really compatible with all kinds of different operating systems. And I think particularly we're going to be looking into Windows and separate emulators. They're like easy to be recognized automatically, or you can just set them up with ease. So in overall, the Xbox 360 controller is absolutely one of my favorite ones to use, with all kinds of different colors. But if you're going to be searching for them used, yeah, it's going to be also a challenge. You find them on AliExpress. Okay, overall quality versions, but when it comes to compatibility, but particularly when it comes to the overall feel, they're always slightly off when it comes to that. Where we have all kinds of stuff from AliExpress or old stuff, we also have brand new stuff like Abedo, stuff that is actually quite good. I must say that I am really pleased with my Abedo controller, the M30 that I'm using for my Sega Genesis, but we have like all kinds of different editions for Windows, and we can use them for emulation without any problem at all. But when it comes to X input, that is one of the things I normally always search for. And with a simple reason, if you have already a ready-to-go image or ready-to-go PC that has been set up with X input with Windows or Batacera, you just most of the time just plug in the controller and it automatically works, or most of the time. So we're starting off with some PlayStation 2 emulation, 4K upscaled resolution, and you can just actually see with an old PC and a nice graphic card, we can all do it without any problem. Even the CPU doesn't even have any problems going on further with the game, but let's do a quick gameplay.
Round 2. Fight.
A significant difference when you're looking at previous load times with PlayStation 3, especially with a newer generation of Intel CPUs and AMD, is almost instant when it comes to loading up, and with some older CPUs, we just need to wait a little bit longer than normal. But if you want to get in some PlayStation 3 emulation, it's not going to be an issue with this PC and this older 4th generation Intel chipset. What you do need to take consideration, depending on how much you want to upscale it, but also what kind of game you actually want to play.
Kill him!
But when it comes to PlayStation Portable, here we have the absolutely amazing overall performance. Every setting has been set to the maximum, even including the upscaling, and all the games of the PlayStation Portable run pretty smooth. And also they look absolutely amazing. With some overall great performance, I can just really enjoy myself PlayStation Portable on a bigger television this way. But take consideration, if you experience some dips, you can always mess around with the settings by pressing into the certain button you have mapped to. Can go to the settings over here and we can mess around with the settings. We can implement frame skip if you don't want to do anything else, but you can also check out the rendering and resolution and all the other things if needed.
Fight!
Level 2 security door breach. Level 2 security door breach.
So when we do have amazing PlayStation 3 emulation, the Xbox 360 is just way too much for this machine and cannot really handle it with a stable 50 or 60 FPS. So this is absolutely a no-go. We do have overall better performance than most of the mini PC have been testing now. But again, it's old hardware, but still, the overall performance is not really enjoyable and playable. But okay, so when you're looking at some Crash Bandicoot, it seems to be running just okay. Do have some frame dips going on, but this has something to do maybe with the compatibility and the emulator version. But beside that, we did have some amazing overall performance with F-Zero GX. And when you're looking at these old specifications, we can just play so much cool stuff. And you can always start tweaking, pulling down the internal resolution 1080p or 2K, and having an amazing overall performance there.